it's a self-made up title, I guess. So my role actually is I'm a product manager at Cyclomedia, and one of the new products we are developing is a mesh product that we have called intermediately a super mesh, because it is an improvement to the current existing product that everyone knows already as an aerial mesh. So in Cyclomedia, we capture data from street level, we drive around with cars, take pictures and take 3D LiDAR scans. And actually by adding that street level detail to the aerial mesh, opens up for a whole new array of use cases to be served within those digital twin applications. And that's basically the storyline of today. It's called the Dutch Digital Twin Experience. So in the Netherlands, we have more than 100 digital twin initiatives, local gov, central gov, corporates. It's a bit of a melting pot. I'm very happy to hear about the European alignment, partly driven by Barcelona, but also other key stakeholders are taking place in that initiative. And it's all helping us as a whole working group of people, companies, governmental bodies that have a dependency on getting to the next stage of digital twinning. The subtitle says a nationwide fit following international standards. Basically, what we do in the Netherlands, it's tailor-made for the Netherlands, yes, but it can be replicated to other countries, as well as we think beyond Europe even. So we have also customer base in the United States at the other side of the Atlantic Ocean. That means why international standards is really important to us, and it goes beyond European guidelines and policy makers. Think about the Open Geospatial Consortium, for example, the OGC, that also subscribes specifically for geospatial data some standards, which we follow to make sure that any GIS expert at any point in time who will be working with our data can indeed use it in GIS systems. Bit of introduction to only the title slide. Before going to slide 2, what you see on screen, it's not a screenshot out of a video recording. It's also not a manually made game type environment. This is a fully automated production of a mesh product. If you look really close, and before you do, I will just go to the next slide. There are some artifacts in there that you can find. Making a mesh is not that easy. Well, it is easy, but getting rid of flaws and artifacts, that is a bit of a challenge for us. I will get to that later on. So back to where I began, the Dutch experience. So we as Cyclomedia are at the forefront as one of the corporate companies in the Netherlands, together with Esri, to get towards a digital twin that everyone in the Netherlands can be using. At the same time, there's, I said, more than 100 initiatives, both from local and central government, who is pushing towards a certain direction. We all made a sort of an input towards how we see how the translation from the physical living environment to the digital twin can be facilitated. And that's basically we call it a sort of a cooking book, or more or less a guideline or initiative where we participate in to subscribe how current themes, social issues as we call them, can be brought together into a platform, an application, whatever you want to call it, one environment, where multiple types of users and use cases can be served with. And that is really important, because if you start thinking about creating a digital twin for your city, and you think about one particular use case that comes to mind where this data set can be, or this type of application can be useful, to actually get a funding and a return on investment purely for one use case, that will be quite a challenge. So we see it as quite a real need to stack use cases to actually bring the most to the digital platform and actually to leverage that scale of it. So sort of summarizing what we're thinking about, bringing high-end technology plus knowledge, really important. That's not only knowledge from technology, but also local knowledge from you who know your cities best. But then do it at scale. In our case, in the Netherlands, it's national scale. Barcelona just mentioned the regional scale, going beyond Barcelona only. So think about beyond your own city boundaries. Making it a public instrument, meaning keep it not just for the city itself, but also consider opening it up for your citizens or the businesses within your city to also have them not only bring data, but also extract insights from that. And make it indeed a community-centric thing. Make it a living digital twin as such. Because it was remarked earlier, we are all here for the people, right? It's not on us, it's serving a need for the community. And doing that all together and in a well defined way should be making it smarter and faster. There's a 1 hour presentation only on that topic. I will not do that. So we see 3D mesh not necessarily as the digital twin. It's an ingredient you can use in your digital twin application. We see it as a foundational layer, a canvas. And basically, why is that? It's highly photorealistic, meaning it's very much translatable from a viewer's eye to what he is seeing and to understand what he is seeing in context of the surroundings. Meaning, if you have the most accurate and most realistic visual representation of your city, it should be for anyone easier to start working in such an application outside of the real world. So our mission, and my colleague Philippe later today will talk about Cyclomedia as a whole, but purely for 3D, we see 3D mesh model again at the core of digital twin as a foundational layer. From there you can start, visual context and guidance. You can start deriving insights. You can start performing analysis. You can start adding layers for urban planning. All kind of things that can be done. But always having this reference point to one and the same visual representation, that's in our mind key. It also is helpful because everyone is looking at the same source of truth, meaning there's no discrepancies in what anyone has been looking at while making decisions. So if everyone is making decisions based on the same source of truth, then at least also the level of consistency in decision making will be higher. And then again, our mission, we want to provide the most accurate, most realistic representation. I think that's what the core of our strength is. While collecting street level data, we have partnered up with several partners, and I will talk a bit about it in my presentation as well, that also provide aerial content, the ecosystem of having aerial content, street level content created into mesh models, but then also bring those mesh models into platforms. It's more than just acquisition, it's more than just mesh production, it's more than just bringing stuff to a platform. It needs to be an end-to-end process. And we feel, at least for the aerial mesh already, we have this optimized, with the product in development being super mesh. It's getting to the same level of end-to-end optimization. Sorry, one slide back. So geometrically most accurate and large scale. I should really mention this as key stress factors or key factors that weigh into decision making. So geometrically most accurate, also back to the OGC standards about accuracy and precision. We have a certain promise to our customers about how good our data is and for what you can therefore use it for. Meaning, if for example, the ground sample distance or the resolution of images is not good enough, then your use case will not be served with the data. So we have a minimal promise for our products, and that makes that you can decide for yourself, maybe with our guidance, whether or not the use case can be fitted with that data. And large scale, that's critical for us. So we do it preferably on a national scale or at least on a city-by-city approach. So having small projects in the city, that's really not interesting for us. Why is that? The deployment of cars is rather expensive, and the more area we can cover in one go, the cheaper it will be in the end for our customers to work with the data. So doing everything at large scale helps decreasing the price point, but also increasing the consistency of the data. It goes hand in hand, and that's really important for us to stick to that approach. So why are we doing this? Partly it's not, I guess, a surprise to you. There is an actual global shift that's last 2 years exponentially growing fast, where the typical 2D GIS departments are also looking into getting into 3D ways of working, which is great because 2D has been proven to be working for years already, but 3D again opens up for new use cases that the very same, very valuable GIS departments can serve. We also see, by the way, that the GIS departments are more or less the center of all the various departments. Anyone who has a certain need for data at some point gets to the GIS department and asks, hey, did you have perhaps a solution for my problem, and what data sets can I leverage? And pretty much it revolves around the GIS department. Need for detail on street level, that was my bridge towards getting from aerial to street level perspective. What it really looks like, you see already here. So this is, for example, an underpass. You can pass by here as a pedestrian or as a bicyclist. having street level data in 3D means that it also is correctly modeled in 3D. Whereas from aerial only perspective, you would have basically have a 2.5D pull up of the facade, meaning you cannot really go underneath. One of many details of the street level data. Optimal use of core assets, that's not on us only with regards to that street level capture, but also within our ecosystem of aerial partners and technology partners. Okay, it's a bit of a buzzword, right? Cutting edge technology, what is that exactly? So exactly what it is, it's hard to explain, but basically what it tries to indicate here is that we are using the latest state of technology to not only create those 3D mesh models, but also to have them streamed efficiently to your browser, for example. Performance will be key, and I'm having a hotspot in my back pocket here. Will be maybe showing something live, and then you will see what the experience is of this performance is key component. Because if performance is not on par, and you have to wait really long time before the data is being loaded or the analysis has been performed, yeah, that's not what we want, right? We are a bit spoiled by now with modern technology. Anything lasting more than 10 seconds is way too long. Anything less than 3 is acceptable. So we are also trying to find out what is the middle ground here, because we can for sure make it much speedier, but it also comes with investment. And as always, what is the return on investment? So we are continuously balancing what to do for whom by when. So how are we continuously enhancing that product proposition, reach product in development? Intensified partnerships in GS and tech. So we are here in Italy together with Esri Italia. We and I personally am closely working together with Esri in the Netherlands, but also with Esri Inc. around super mesh and mesh production in general, but also getting those C-layer packages to your ArcGIS Online platform. But also we make use of mesh production facilities, for example, at Mellons in Prague, but also N-Frames in Stuttgart. Skyline can produce really great meshes. But it only is the data production. You have to think about, once produced, where do I store the data? We as Cyclomedia, we have all our data brought to the cloud. That means that it can always be streamed to your browser, to your application. Therewith it's always 24/7 accessible. We try to make the life of our customers easier by hosting it online. So we would also allow you to get the data offline. Or think about data residency. If you are an American city, then maybe you don't want to have any European server from Cyclomedia, read Azure or Microsoft, serving the data. Maybe you want to have the data residency from Europe brought to US. So we have all kinds of interchanging methods to bring the data to the needs of the customer. And then on user experience validation, so not only about artifacts, trees, for example, you see them here already. Trees are a bit of a challenge. We are iteratively improving each production run to see if we can make the mesh continuously better. Why is that? It's around data usability to serve use cases for our customers. It's also not only about data, it's functions and features in an application. So looking at the data is one use case, but using the data, it's multiple use cases. And then at the bottom, for the ones who can maybe not see it, it says value versus price. So price, we all understand, that's euros, basically. The value is partly euros, but also partly intangible. What is the value of having 5 various departments in your city work with the same data set? While one department might do it daily and the other one might do it monthly. It's hard to translate that into a euro amount, but in the end, it's well worth the consideration about the return on investment. The cost, everyone understands. What it brings to you, that's something that we are willing to help to understand. Bit rushing into the nicer part of the presentation, which is not this slide. This is just an overview of some use cases. I highlighted the ones that are more local and central gov oriented. What we are trying to do here is basically describe not only for us but also for our customers why a 3D dataset is helpful and for what type of use cases. And actually, instead of reading it, I'm happy to share it. It's maybe better to just start showing some stuff. If we talk about showing data and showing use cases, this is a live viewer from the city of Alkmaar in the Netherlands. It's a customer-facing or a citizen-facing application. So basically what you see here, not only Cyclomedia's 3D and aerial mesh product, but also around certain themes: economy, mobility, weather and climate, environment, census, social facilities, living. As also seen in other presentations today, digital twinning around themes. And those themes basically would allow to have multiple data sets visualized on top of or underneath or even without the area mesh as a reference. Because sometimes also the area mesh or the 3D mesh product is distractive. So you maybe want to render LOD building models or just a 2D map, for example. So this is, again, a current live citizen-facing application. And the same goes for the next one. If it goes, there we go. So this is the city of Zwolle, one of another of our customers in the Netherlands. Again, hosting the data in an ArcGIS environment. And here you see on the right side, again, similar setup around themes. And what basically a GIS worker in the city's council does is bringing data sets together, adding functionality and algorithms if they want to that online viewing environment. And then dependent on who is using it, so a citizen cannot log in, so a citizen doesn't have all the editing rights and all the functionality at their disposal. But if I were working at the city of Zwolle and I would log in, then it also opens up, based on my user profile, for more functions, features, and functionality. And that's basically how you would control the usage of the data and also of the platform. So I've prepared 3 slides that says something about the use cases. I think this is the most relating for everyone if you talk about urban development, because it's understandable from city point of view, but also from inhabitants' point of view. At any given point of time, there can be a new project in your environment. And what is the impact of that? So that's not only about the visual component, will it block my view, but also does it have an impact on sun and shadow? For example, if you have already a solar plan on top of your roof, will the new build have impact on that? But also, in an earlier stage, you want to have buy-in from your citizens for those new build plans. So urban planning and development, that's use case that also umbrellas more or less citizen engagement. Because if you were to go to a info evening where you want to be presenting the new plans to your inhabitants, it is really helpful to have the exact scenario already prepared, and not only have a static view on that, but also allowing them for the dynamic view. So you can go to the presenter and say, okay, I live in this particular address. Can you please move your viewpoint there and then show me my view on this new build of yours? Think about the large windmills that we all see popping up in the more rural areas. In Netherlands, we have quite some objections being made from citizens because they don't want those things close by, although everyone understands we need them. But those are actual use cases that we have valued, and where 3D mesh data in context brings that value. A lot of text here, maybe to highlight richer details, next level visuals. That basically is the core of the message. Having the right details makes that you can actually better understand the impact. Looking at a 2D image, even looking at a 3D image on a 2D screen is helpful, but actually getting the moving image, even though it's on a 2D screen, that already provides much more context and insight. Meaning having a 3D data set at your disposal and then even bringing it dynamically to the group, the audience that you're presenting to, that actually brings the value that 3D beholds. That was one use case. Maybe skip this one. It's basically showing the same thing with a different project. This one is a video. Let's try to get this started. This is also an actual case. I cannot necessarily say where it is, except for there was an extension of the existing apartment block planned. The new plans were being presented. The video goes smoother on a small screen than on a big screen. And people were actually making objections and trying to block these new build plans. And the end of the video will go towards a certain viewpoint. And on screen it is happening. This one is stopping. Okay, not sure why this is happening. But it went to the alderman of the city who was living in one of the villas, and he was really anxious about the view that was coming to his house. And we were able to show him that there was no view change for him particularly. maybe for his neighbors, which is still then something to discuss. But for him particularly, it was proven that there was no reason for objection. But that is how people are also seeing those new build plans. Basically, they embrace urban development, they embrace making the city better, but as soon as it has an impact on them, yeah, people tend to have some difficulties. And then it really is helpful to have the same data set. So this is a video, I'm a bit stressed out whether or not I can show it. Maybe keep it on the still here. So basically, this is a corporate development where Next that's corporate is architecture firm. They have developed an application where they want to be presenting their new build plans from the architects into the context of the as-built environment. And they have selected 3D as the context for reference around their new build plans. And that, to me, is a great signal because it also means that the architectural world is moving more from the artist's impressions with LOD models in the background towards a more real-life representation. And essentially, this is then a Unity-based, a game engine-based application, but same logic applies. You bring one data set, the as-built reality capture, and another one, which is now a new build BIM model or CAD model or whatever you want, and bring it together. It's the same principle, but this again opens up for more conversation with stakeholders and citizens. Around public safety, there's some delay in between my laptop and the big screen. Should I maybe unshare and share again? Question to the deck. There we go. All right. So public safety, we have a field lab in the Netherlands where I'm participating on behalf of Cyclomedia, also together with Esri Netherlands and much more stakeholders. What we're trying to do there is get an end-to-end process set up for event planning. Event planning in Netherlands, we differentiate in between 3 types of events: small, medium, large. And the large-scale events, at a certain point in the city of Nijmegen, brought a hazardous risk to the public safety. That was the kickoff of the field at Nijmegen, whereas plans for an event, a large-scale event, were made and approved based on a 2D concept. And if you imagine a 2D map, and you imagine in reality a 3D scene with a slope and event area down the slope, which is gated, but people were outside of the gates looking into the gated area. Basically, too many people were looking at a certain performing act that was hosted there. That made the public services realize if we were to have planned this in 3D, then we could have prevented, based on line of sight analysis, that this was happening. And it goes further than that. On the right bottom, and maybe I can try to get that on play mode. On the right bottom, you see a actual physical divider. It's a concrete thing. And on the left side, you see this pop-up bar, which is part of the event planning's street furniture. This pop-up bar is close by to this physical divider, and the fire department basically wanted to be reassured that the free space in between the pop-up bar and physical divider was big enough for a fire truck to pass by. Actual use case, actual relatable, understanding need for 3D data in context. If you were to have plotted this on 2D, you probably would have also been able to do it. But having the 3D data set at your disposal, you can actually mimic all viewpoints and then think about, if you were to have 3D, then you can also do other things, like this line of sight analysis or a view shed or whatever. So there's not always a need for 3D, but it's better to have it and then go to 2D if needed than the other way around. Because if you only have 2D and you need 3D, then yeah, you don't have it at your disposal. Yeah, maybe for the sake of time I can skip this. Again, we have to share this with you guys. Maybe around CrowdSim, it's also evolving around the large-scale event planning. You have to imagine in the city of Nijmegen, during the course of 1 week, more than 1 million people are coming to the town, and basically. In the town there is like 20 different stages and pop-up areas where all kinds of music artists are coming actually to amuse the crowd. What we are trying to do in the field at Nijmegen is to bring more understanding, scenario planning towards this big movement of crowd. So imagine people are coming by train, by bus, by bike, by foot. It all needs to be monitored if it's not getting too crowdy, and therefore you do some crowd management applications. Crowd management is not necessarily the same as crowd simulation. It's about the scenario planning and the actual execution of the scenarios you have planned for. So, and basically, I did have one video prepared. Here. So this is one of the event areas. This is from our partner UCrowds. They are the crowd sim service provider, you could say. Basically, what they are trying to do is to model an event area as accurate as they can. For this, obviously, they have now selected the shoebox type of representation, but you can imagine also a 3D mesh. And have those scenarios run up front. And then those scenarios can be evacuation because of a bomb alert, or maybe a fire, or maybe someone is having a heart attack, whatever the cause is. Those scenarios are planned. And then, based on the technology, they can then see what is happening with the crowd if they start moving. What is a bit tricky is that every individual person in this application has the same behavior, which is odd. We all act differently. So in this current stage, what we are doing now is bringing smartness to the dumb computer people, meaning that we have now set ourselves to better understand the psychological component of such stress factors. Because some people freeze, some will fly, some will start whatever they do. And it's not necessarily good visible now, but there was one escape route, it's on the top left corner, which is a staircase. And you can imagine if people start evacuating upstairs, the speed of evacuation is different than when it's flat level. Those kind of smartness needs to be built into this crowd sim. This is the next video, which has nothing to do with my presentation. That's YouTube. Yeah, again, a delay in between my screen and the big screen. Basically, this is the mayor of the city of Nijmegen, who is also a big evangelist of the field at Nijmegen, obviously. And he is here in this video trying to explain how the crowd sim is indeed bringing this value for his city in terms of ensuring the safety of the visitors. Because he's not only the mayor of 300,000 people in the city, but also he's the mayor during 1 week for 1 million visitors. So it's really key to have this safety component well understood. Again, this is a slide. This is basically trying to show you that it's an RGS-built digital twin platform, you could say. A couple of things. So this is a work in progress. This is not a final thing, right? You see on the top a menu that says permit application, permit approval, inspection, warm phase, which is actually during the event phase, and the digital twin. At the bottom part, you see a couple of our partners in the ecosystem. So it's Nijmegen, but also the security region, which actually is overarching fire department, police, and emergency services. The event organizers all the way to also Cyclomedia. What we're trying to do here, and I'm in doubt if the next slide is showing this, maybe to briefly go through this particular video here. No, I don't think it's a good idea. The videos today are a bit challenging me here. So, basically what we're trying to do is build this permit application process end to end. So basically, you have to have a permit application that asks for certain standard parameters, like the name of the organizer, the type of event, how many visitors, and basically you have to draw a map. Those are the legal requirements. Building this together with Esri as a one way for all type of events, large or small, makes that we have an end-to-end solution that we're bringing to the market. And essentially, whether the event is large or small, it has always the same principles and way of operating through the municipality systems. So the moment someone would draw a basic event and applies, then it automatically gets into the mailbox of the application permit provider from the city council, and they then can start assessing what has come in and what do we do in terms of securing the safety of the event. Basically, they have a couple of advisors at their disposal from emergency services that they need to ask for advice. Is this a well-prepared plan? You can imagine if there's a large-scale event, the details on the images, the detail of the maps, the drawings that they provide from the event plan are much more detailed than what you see now on this small-scale event. So it really is on a cut and BIM level with high level of detail. Nonetheless, we see this as a one-stop approach for all events with an end-to-end process in mind, all the way from permit application to execution and evaluation. That's something that we have started 2 years ago, and actually now in Q4 we have committed together with Esri Netherlands to start executing on the actual build based on the earlier prototype we made. So this prototype is working. So we foresee by the end of this year that we have this permit application process in place. And I will be very much willing to learn if we can replicate this from Netherlands to other countries as well. Maybe legislation is slightly different, but in essence, the theory should be the same. But again, I'm happy to get in touch with you guys and know more about your local areas. So crowd management, basically, quickly, this is about walkable areas. So we define based on surface what are walkable areas, yes or no. And you can imagine if you have a pedestrian sidewalk with next to it a green space, so a small grass field, both are walkable, but dependent on the source that you are using to get the walkable area detected and drawn in, you might interpret the two differently. So those are all considerations that we are also trying to learn from how to define walkable area. Also depending on the source that you are using, you might have one straight pedestrian walkway, but there's a fence in the middle. We see that in our mesh, but depending on the source that they were using, for example, an underlayer from the municipality where the fence was not placed, it does have an impact on that crowd sim application. So the storyline here is bring the right data sets together to make the right decisions. That is key. And then we talk about crowdedness and what you can do with it. So this is only one way of showing this. Essentially, what this will try to visualize is in various locations in the city, this figure thing, the crowdedness over time to make sure that not too many people are at the same place at the same time. And then to really start towards conclusion, I think I'm running over time. If you talk about 3D, new technology, use cases, we are also exploring use cases in virtual reality. So by now we have set up a virtual office. Basically anyone in the world with an Oculus Quest 2 headset and the right credentials can come to our virtual office. And in there we can not only show stuff on 2D screens, but also really get this immersive 3D experience. And then it's more than just a gimmick, to be assured, because looking at 3D data, that's already great, but working with 3D data, that's even greater. So we see now already actual usage of virtual reality applications around safety instructions for new people, new to a building site or new to the company. So they are being made aware of, here is a first aid kit, or there is a certain, small ramp on the rooftop that you need to be avoiding, or whatever safety instruction there is. Around safety instructions, this has already been proven to be adding value. So it's, again, more than just a gimmick. So to bring the story really to conclusion, so the overall PowerPoint presentation is 2 gigabytes. So I'm really pushing technology here as well. Let me share again. There you go. So bringing street level detail, because for some use cases you really need to have street level detail. And to make the right assessment on ground level, it's key that you have the right detail at your disposal. So, too many words on a slide to really make it a good pitchable slide. What this slide is trying to say is what is SuperMesh and where can it be used for. At the same time, while the video is running on my screen, on the right side there's nothing to be seen. Don't worry about it, I'm happy to share with you in the pause some 3D SuperMesh demo data. What we're trying to say here is bringing the right data sets to your system. Not sure what they are doing. There you go. In our case, the story was about bringing aerial data and street level data together. It's not a one-to-one synergetic match. There needs to be some work done to get that geometrically aligned to each other. So we have initiated a process that we call City Positioner. And essentially what it does is bringing the aerial data and the street level data together. Aerial data is being geometrically aligned based on ground control points, and street level data is based on that also synergized. And then the aerial images, street level images, and the two level data sets are all being brought together. I will round off and not even bother about getting it on screen again. By now we have understood the process of getting aerial data, street level data merged together. We have understood the process of producing it at large scale. We are now in the point where we want to bring the product to market and are validating the street level based use cases with cities like Milano, Barcelona, and others. And therefore we have now created a couple of what we're going to call super mesh data sets. Maybe during the break, I'm happy to share with you, whoever is interested on screen, some visuals of how would it look, because it's just great if you can add layers into a super mesh, and if you could go from one city to the next, right? We talk about getting rid of the boundaries, going from Milano to Barcelona to New York in 2 minutes time is just great, and it's all in 3D. That makes, I was actually trying to not even bother about it. Thanks anyway. Let me just skip towards the end slide, because that one says thank you. Again, I was trying to round off. What I would like you to take away from my presentation is think about digital twin not so much as a goal on itself, it's a mean for you. So not start thinking about, I need a digital twin, how do I get it? No, start about what is your actual problem, and could digital twin be a solution for that? And probably at some point you will get to the answer yes. And then think about what does the digital twin mean for me, and then think about what should the digital twin perform for me, and then the platform, that's where it all revolves around, right? Platform will show you functions, features, and data. That's it. Thank you very much.